Good evening, News Scope Daily viewers. Welcome back to your trusted source for in-depth global news. Tonight, we bring you a story that has shaken Mexico to its core. A story of crime, power, and chaos. A tale of a man who seemed untouchable until now. Yes, we are talking about Nemesio Oera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, the notorious boss of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. For years, El Mencho eluded the law, satellites could not track him, informants could not reach him, and entire military units failed to capture him. But this week, his reign of terror came to a violent end, and the consequences are still unfolding. Stay tuned as we break down how Mexican forces finally caught him, what followed in the streets of western Mexico, and what this means for the future of organized crime in the country. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to subscribe to Newscope Daily TV, hit the like button, and share this report to keep yourself and your friends informed. Your engagement helps us bring you more investigative reporting from around the world. The story begins in a small cabin tucked away in the mountains of western Mexico. For years, this cabin had seen very few visitors, but on the fateful day of his capture, a phone lit up. On the other end, none other than El Mencho himself. Mexican intelligence had been tracking the movements of his girlfriend. By monitoring her patterns and communications, authorities finally discovered a secluded safe house deep in the forest. After she left, special forces moved in at dawn. What followed was a firefight that shook the region. Bodyguards opened fire, forcing a military helicopter into an emergency landing. El Mencho fled into the dense forest, wounded and cornered. Though captured alive, he did not survive the transfer to Mexico City. 7 of his men were killed, 2 soldiers were wounded, and heavy weapons were seized. This was not just a tactical victory, it was a strategic operation, demonstrating the reach and determination of Mexican authorities. As one government official noted, the strength of the Mexican state was demonstrated. Yet, even in death, El Mencho's cartel showed it still had teeth. Within hours of the news breaking, western Mexico descended into chaos. Cartel gunmen blocked nearly 100 highways. Vehicles were hijacked and set ablaze, turning roads into walls of smoke. Public transport halted. Flights were suspended in cities like Guadalajara, a city set to host the FIFA World Cup. The message was clear: the death of the boss would not go unanswered. It was the cartel's contingency plan to demonstrate power and send a warning. By the time the dust settled, 25 National Guard members were dead, 34 cartel members were killed, dozens were wounded, and more than 70 people were arrested. This is the cost of challenging organized crime in Mexico. Many ask, how does someone like El Mencho rise to such power? Born Nemesio Oera Cervantes, El Mencho was not always a criminal mastermind. In the 1990s, he served as a local police officer. His first brushes with the law included a U.S. conviction for drug trafficking, which led to 3 years in prison. After his release, he returned to the drug trade with renewed ambition. In 2009, he co-founded the CJNG, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. Within 15 years, it grew into one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the world. CJNG diversified beyond traditional drug trafficking. Their operations now include meth production, fentanyl trafficking, fuel theft, kidnapping, extortion, and even online scams. With a footprint in all 50 U.S. states and across most of Mexico, CJNG became a hybrid between organized crime and a private army. They militarized their operations, acquiring armored trucks, heavy caliber rifles, and even explosive drones. But CJNG is not the only cartel in Mexico. To understand the rise of such groups, we must rewind to the 1980s. Back then, only one cartel dominated. After its leader was arrested in 1989, the empire splintered into various factions: the Caloa, Gulf, Tijuana, and Juarez cartels. In 2006, Mexico declared a war on drugs. Instead of eliminating cartels, this crackdown fragmented them further. Every arrest created a vacuum. Every vacuum led to a turf war, and every turf war escalated violence. Since then, over 400,000 people have been killed and 125,000 are missing. CJNG rose amid this chaos, seizing both territory and influence. Now, with El Mencho dead, Mexico faces a critical question. What happens next? Unlike smaller cartels built around a single figure, CJNG is a network. Leadership is decentralized, and multiple potential successors could vie for control. If one consolidates power quickly, the cartel may survive. If not, it could fracture into multiple armed factions, sparking new turf wars and public violence. History shows us this pattern is almost inevitable. When a king falls in Mexico's underworld, the throne is the most coveted and dangerous seat in the country. Power does not end quietly. The fall of a leader like El Mencho is not just a headline, it is the trigger for a new wave of instability. Experts warn that we may see an increase in armed confrontations, assassinations, and public unrest as factions scramble to fill the void. Governments, local authorities, and security forces must remain vigilant to prevent chaos from spreading further. Mexico's struggle with cartels is a reflection of deeper systemic challenges: economic disparity, corruption, and porous borders that allow illicit trade to flourish. CJNG represents the evolution of organized crime into paramilitary forces capable of challenging state authority. El Mencho's death is a tactical victory for Mexico, but it does not end the fight. Cartels are adaptable, resilient, and embedded in communities across the country. As long as demand exists for narcotics and as long as corruption undermines law enforcement, these groups will persist. Yet, there is hope. Coordinated intelligence operations, community engagement, and international cooperation are gradually reducing cartel influence. Capturing a figure like El Mencho sends a message: no one is untouchable and the state can assert authority, even against the most dangerous criminal organizations. El Mencho may be gone, but Mexico's battle against cartels is far from over. Every death, every arrest, every raid is just one chapter in a long story of crime, power, and resilience. Thank you for watching News Scope Daily TV. If you found this report informative, subscribe now, hit the notification bell, and share this video. Stay informed, stay safe, and join us as we continue to follow the stories shaping our world.